The ever-growing skyline of Phnom Penh has boosted the sky bar and commercial real estate industry. Tonight, we will talk exclusively with the Associate Director of CBRE, Mr. Hodge, about sky bar investment opportunity and the investment value of the commercial real estate industry in Phnom Penh.
First of all, can you introduce yourself and CBRE to our audience for today's express?
Yes. Thank you very much. My name is James Hodge. I'm an Associate Director at CBRE Cambodia. CBRE is the world's largest real estate services provider. So we're operating out of the headquarters in Los Angeles, and CBRE in Cambodia has been operating here now for 10 years. And we have a number of projects and very active across the city in providing real estate services.
Yes.
Currently, we manage 5 buildings in Phnom Penh, and we're about to start management of 3 more. So 8 by the end of the year.
According to the data of CBRE, how many skyscrapers in Phnom Penh and which region are mainly concentrated?
So far, most development has been focused in the main districts of Phnom Penh, so Cham Khomon, Dawn Pen, Seven Makara. But now we see development spreading out towards the secondary districts as well. So high-rise is starting to appear in districts including Sen Sok and Min Che, but also we see more high-rise coming up a lot in Tul Kok.
CBRE Group, a commercial real estate service and investment company, has been operating in Cambodia for a decade. What does the Associate Director of CBRE, Mr. James Hodge, think of the ever-growing tall building and the real estate market in 2019 in Phnom Penh?
Well, it's a really interesting year. We're seeing a lot of development starting to complete, which is exciting to see because we can get inside and have a look at the design when the green nets start coming down. So 2019 is going to be a really busy year for Phnom Penh real estate in all sectors. So there's more offices coming, there's more retail units, and a lot more residential.
Yes.
So some great looking high-rise projects coming through.
Because most of the project is completed, it's like it's the Sky Bar just opened for a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we go back to the Sky Bar. So why is Sky Bar so popular in Phnom Penh right now? If you compare for the last 10 years or 5 years, what do you think?
Well, certainly we've got a lot more high-rise buildings upon which sky bars can be based. And they're a really good way of using a rooftop of a high-rise building. But in some cases, you'll find that the rooftops are used for services, particularly in residential buildings. So maybe the resident swimming pool would be up there. But in many cases as well, it's a way for a developer to achieve a bit more rental for their building. So they'll put Skybar up there and deliver some more services for their tenants.
The ever-growing skyline of Phnom Penh has boosted the skybar industry. Where is the best place to invest in skybar in Phnom Penh? Let's see what James Hodge's ideas are.
Well, the best place for skybars is usually somewhere that's accessible to both residents and to tourists. So we find still the central districts are the places to be, in particular Cham Khomon and Dawn Pen. So riverside or areas with riverside views are really great places for sky bars. But equally, anywhere with a particularly good sky cityscape view. So generally the more dense areas of the city.
Do you think in the future, besides like Cham Khomon, Dawn Pen, or riverside, sky bar can reach to another area besides this?
Sure, I think the concept may have to change a little bit and focus more for a local market. But certainly there is potential for that. And we see it in places like Choi Chang Va, where the cityscape is really great because you've got wonderful river views and you can see across the river to Phnom Penh.
I see some sky bar located on the office building, some located on apartment, some located in the hotel. So what is this different and what is the disadvantage and advantage of them?
So we always advocate for sky bars to be located on the top of commercial buildings. So usually this would be offices or hotels. And that's because when you've got public coming in, they don't disturb apartment owners or renters. When they're within a residential building, sometimes can be a little bit difficult for the occupants unless it's a private sky bar, which some buildings do have. but certainly for office and hotels, it adds another amenity, and it allows the public to come in and use the building across a wider period of the day. For office buildings in particular, Skybar is a great addition.
So what is the influence of the Skybar to the building? For example, like influence of Eclipse Skybar to the Keystone building and Eclipse Skybar to the Phnom Penh Towers building?
In both cases, the Skybar gives the tenants a really great place to go in the evening or even at lunchtime. So there's somewhere to go, find some food, find some drink, meet up with friends, do some business networking, host events. So they have really a multi-purpose venue that the tenants of the building get to enjoy usually throughout the day, and it meets their demand for food, drink, socializing, and provides them with a space where they can host events for their business.
Welcome to Fortune Express. As an international city, Phnom Penh attracts more and more international investors, and Skybar investment have become a big business opportunity. How much do you need to open a Skybar in Phnom Penh? What does James Hodge think of the hottest Skybar, Eclipse Skybar in Phnom Penh?
So setting up a Skybar, a professional Skybar, is not cheap. It's quite an expensive venture, especially if you deliver something of the quality of an area like Eclipse. So they have very high design and a lot of investment in order to develop that sort of Skybar. For a mid-range or lower-end version, of course, the amount of investment can be cheaper, so they make fewer changes and do a simpler design, but at least upwards of 50,000 US, and usually significantly more for a fit-out of Skybar.
Yeah. So it depends on the class. If you want to like high-end, maybe spend a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount that you could spend could be unlimited. Depends on the quality and the style that you want to go for.
Can you give an example like per square meter?
It would be difficult to offer you that, but it could be between anywhere between 50 and 1,000 or even more than that per square meter to deliver Skybar. Really depends on the quality and the design.
At the moment we talk about like how the Skybar influence the building. So we can keep this. How Skybar influence the economy in Phnom Penh?
Well, Skybar gives places for businessmen to go and network, to meet each other and conduct business. So that extends the working hours into the evening. As well as that, it offers employment opportunities for many people. So to deliver a Skybar, you have to have well-trained hospitality staff who are able to look after customers. So there's some really good jobs available at Skybars. And it obviously provides a place for transactions to occur. So that also benefits the economy.
Nowadays, more and more people tend to invest in real estate in Phnom Penh. In addition to residential real estate, commercial real estate is also becoming popular. What is the investment value of commercial real estate in Phnom Penh? What kind of commercial real estate can people invest in?
So actually commercial real estate, when we look at Cambodian investments, is a really important part. So if you buy a shop house, you're actually buying a mixed-use property. It has commercial potential and it has residential options available. But when we think about commercial investment from a wider perspective, usually it falls into two categories. So you have retail and office, of course, and then centrally owned buildings and strata title buildings. So there is a lot of potential in the market for centrally owned buildings. So these usually require a higher amount of investment, and you have to buy a whole building in order and then lease it out to tenants or occupy it yourself, of course. With that, you get a rental yield and a capital value increases potentially, depending on the market. But from a yield perspective, for commercial real estate here at the moment, you could probably expect between 7.5% and 9% in most cases. commercial real estate offers a longer-term income potential. So usually the leases on commercial real estate offer a minimum of 3 years.
Yes.
In some cases they're shorter, and in many cases they're longer. So from a landlord's perspective, although it's a bit more of a more complicated asset class, it offers a longer period of time where you have fixed revenue. And sometimes that revenue can be higher.
I heard some of the people said like the real estate in Cambodia now is maybe like full, maybe not increase more. So how about you? What do you see? It's still keep increase or no?
I think it really depends upon the sector that you're looking at. So we still see price rises in most sectors at the moment, and those are driven by great occupational demand. So for example, in the office market at the moment, the occupancy rate is still really strong. That's despite new buildings coming into the market and increasing the level of supply. So the prices seem pretty robust. The rental levels are good. And therefore the yield and the price that underlies the commercial space is still pretty robust.
What's the difference between the residential real estate and commercial real estate?
Yeah, so really this comes down to the investor's choices. So what is the investor interested in? Do they have a passion for commercial real estate? Do they have an understanding of how it works? So commercial real estate is different in that you're offering the space to a company. So you need to understand how that company performs and what you need to do to protect yourself in case that company doesn't perform. And the relationship between the tenant and their space is usually different than someone who's renting a residence for a home.
Yes.
So the secondary market for commercial real estate is very different. And you need to be able to understand the underlying economics of that market in order to ensure that your investment strategy and the asset that you buy is suited to your needs. So commercial real estate, especially if you're a developer, generally has a longer period of time between when you buy it and when you sell it.
Yes.
So the asset class is generally over a longer period of time in terms of your investment payback.
Yes.
Generally, the investment amount to purchase commercial building is also larger because many times the commercial building is bigger than you're buying just one apartment.
Yes.
But there are solutions to that now available in the Phnom Penh market. So we see strata title office, for example, which allows mid-level investors, maybe people who are able to buy apartments, to also participate in buying commercial property. And there is a developing secondary market for strata title office, but it's quite a new thing for Cambodia. So we're really interested to see how these buildings.
It so mean both is mean good advantage, all, but depend on the investor want to invest it and passionate on it.
Yes.
But it's for you. Should be to invest like commercial or residential?
Sure. For most investors, it's still going to be residential. Residential is, there are many more people who require an apartment to live in than require to rent office space. So the pool of tenants available is much bigger than in commercial, which is why you see more residential buildings than you see office buildings. So for many people, residential will still be the way to go. It's an easier market to understand. But I think more and more, commercial is looking attractive. It's got great yields. It can diversify your portfolio. So if you already have several apartments, you might think about taking an office as your next investment, because the office market is different to residential. So if residential becomes oversupplied and the rental level falls, maybe that doesn't happen in the office market. So your office investment is still good, whereas maybe your residential is having a difficulty.
Thanks for watching. Please stay tuned with us for the next episode. Follow our Facebook page, Fortune